Hello world, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's brand new video, which is a part of a brand new series entitled, How Was That Photo Made? So in this new series, I'm going to show you some of my popular images that many people have asked me questions about, and we're going to take a look into how did I actually come about creating that photo, from the gear and tools that I use to the editing process. So with that said, let's get right into today's video. So the photo that you see on the screen is what we're going to be editing today. So I'm going to show you how we got here, starting from scratch and going all the way through all of the processes of using Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop. So what I like to do is go down here to tone curve, and I have several presets in here for my tone curve. So just for easy sake, we're going to just only use the presets for the tone curve. So I'm gonna go to my Skyline Curve Strong. And I have two versions. I have a strong and a weak, and the weak one has a little bit less dark contrast, but for this one we want to have strong contrast. And then here I want to kind of dial down my lights a little bit, maybe up the highlights, add a little bit in the dark area, and shadows will go about 69%, 70% or so. And then we're gonna skip down all the way to the bottom to camera calibration. So all I want to do here is take out a little bit of the saturation in the green and the blue. It looks pretty good. We'll do 15% there. Okay, so now we're gonna come all the way back up to the top. And so what I want to do here is just start going through all of the basics. So we want to do our white balance. So because it's kind of blue purple tone, we're going to warm this up a little bit. If it's 70, I don't know why this always goes down to the bottom like that, but we're going to go 7500. We're going to make this 0, add a little bit of exposure, take out some of the contrast here. We're going to dial down our highlights, because when we do this, we're bringing back we're showing more of the dark puffy clouds here when we bring down the highlights. Then I want to max out my shadows, add a little bit in the white level, and then dial down the black level. So to get my really deep dark edges, we're going to add a lot of clarity here. And then just up the saturation ever so slightly. Now here comes the fun part, the Hue Saturation Luminance. So let's see, we want to up our saturation for the red, definitely our orange colors. It looks pretty good. 42 for our yellow, somewhere around in 40, 50 green. And then we want a little bit of blue in there. Add a little purple and magenta. So now we want to bump up our reds. As you kind of see, it's not that much red in here, but we just want to bump those up quite a bit. A little bit of an orange bump. And we want to kind of take out a little bit of the yellow color in there. Add a little green. And take out some of the purple. Okay, now we're going to go back up to the hue. I want to change some of the colors in the photo. So I want my reds to be a little bit deeper, a little bit that there is. 24 in the orange, 22, not bad. 17's good, doesn't have to be exact. Aqua, we really kind of see a little bit of the changes that happens, and that's the fun part about editing. Just play with the sliders to see what kind of effects you get. So here you kind of see in the sky how we get a big change from left to right there. So we want to go there, and we'll bump up magenta. So now we're going to go to split toning. This is a fun part. So I want a little bit more of a reddish rustic tone, so we're gonna max that with the hue. Just add a little bit of saturation in there, that's all. So you kind of see how we're getting that purple hue that we had in our final edited image. That's where that comes from. So now detail, I go overboard with my sharpness a little bit, but I don't know, it just adds to my photos. We'll take a little vignetting on the lens correction. We won't do any transforming of our, I'm gonna do this manually because I don't like what the program is giving me. Sometimes it does good on the perspective adjustment, but sometimes it doesn't, and I like to manually do that. So now we're go to effects, and this is how come I'm not a big, you know, vignette from lenses is not a big deal for me because I add it in post anyways. So it doesn't really faze me, but we're going to add some vignetting there. We're gonna feather it and come up a little bit on the roundness. Looks pretty good. What we're gonna do is go back to the top and kind of correct a little bit of the tilt. And that looks good. Cause see, you got the pier down here. We kind of want to get that a little bit level since that's what we were standing on. That looks good. Okay, so now if you look at the photo, we have this dark area. I want the bridge and the buildings to be brighter, but I don't want to affect the rest of the photo. So we're gonna get the adjustment brush and make sure we have auto mask on. And we're just gonna come over here to where our buildings are. So the reason I have the auto mask on is because it won't account for the space that I'm not exactly in between. So like it won't flood over to like parts of the sky. I don't want parts of the sky to be included in the brush or the water. So that's why I'm using the auto mask. And so once we do that, we'll max out the shadows and then up our exposure a little bit. So see how we get that nice skyline back in our frame there? And then increase our black level. Maybe go, oh, that's a little bit too much. Go about an 8. That looks good. Maybe you can dial it down to a 6. That looks pretty decent. Okay. And so once we get here, just kind of overlook the photos, see if there's anything I want to change. Everything looks pretty good. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so once we're done here, we're going to export our photo. So I already got the destination, want to export as a TIFF file, 16-bit. We'll export that. And then we're going to open up Photoshop. Okay, now we have our photo in Photoshop. Now first what I want to do is add a little bit of a lens flare. So we're going to go to Filter, Render, Lens Flare. And we got it in a good position there. Looks good. So now we're going to go to Edit, Undo Lens Flare, Layer, New Fill Layer, Solid Color, okay, and then do Black. And then we're going to go back to Filter, do our Recent Recall there, then Blur, Gaussian Blur. So we want between 30 and 40. Do that. Then go to our blend mode and we want screen. So from here you can adjust your opacity to how you choose of where you think it looks the best. So that looks pretty good. So then we're going to flatten the image, and now we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. So here I have a few presets that kind of give the look that I want as far as the kind of finalized in the deep contrast department. So let's go see what 4S does. Let's see what 4. No, 4S looks good. Now we're going to go back to Image, Adjustments, and then the curves. And then we're going to use think we want a little bit of harsh. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now I want to take the burn tool and we want to enlarge this a bit. Got about a 500 brush, a little bit larger than that, maybe 800. Yeah, 800 looks pretty good. So now what I want to do is get a little bit more in the cloud area. So we go to an exposure of 50%. Let's just bring in some of these clouds. There you go, just drag it along. And then we'll kind of dial down the exposure to 25%. Get some of these clouds over here. Just want to drag it a little bit. There you go. Yeah, we bring in those clouds without using HDR. Oh yeah, that looks good. And you can go as far as you want. Play around with this. Oh yeah, that looks good, I think. Okay. So once we do that, we'll just save our image as a final JPEG. Click on save. Then we'll do highest quality. And there we go. From start to finish, that's our photo, and that's how I created my photo that I took in Portland, Oregon. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys and it kind of gives you an idea and a look into how I edited this photo. So look for more videos to come. Be sure to check out my blog at professorheinz.com for more information, where you can also find a blog that has the gear that I used to take this photo as well. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.